Hi, welcome to Como Friends Bouquets Live. I'm Jackie Stika, president of Como Friends. I'm so glad you are joining us tonight. We'll be showcasing what is best about Como, the lush gardens, beautiful flowers, and wild and precious animals. We wish we could all be together tonight under the frosty dome of the Marjorie McNeely Conservatory, sipping on wine and sampling fabulous food from local restaurants. While we can't be together in person, we're glad we can bring some of the most familiar and favorite parts of bouquets to you in your home. The Marjorie McNeely Conservatory produces 5 seasonal flower shows every year in the sunken garden, in this beautiful room. Very few botanical gardens are able to boast such an accomplishment. At Como, this is possible because of the generosity of supporters like you. Thank you for all you do for Como. Enjoy the beautiful winter flower show while listening to accordion player Mark Stillman, a longtime Bouquets favorite.
Hello and good evening. I am Caroline Melhop with Como Friends. I, along with Bethany Paul and the rest of the Como Friends team, produce the fundraising events like Bouquets that you graciously support each year. Thanks so much for your generosity. And thanks to Mark Stillman for a wonderful start to the program and setting the tone for this special evening. I can't imagine a Bouquets without him and his wonderful music. Whether he is welcoming our guests or strolling the gardens or creating a boisterous and very lively environment in the Bouquets beer garden, we couldn't do the event without him. He is such an icon for our event. Another iconic part of Bouquets is, of course, our sunken garden in the Marjorie McNeely Conservatory. This winter show pops with vibrant colors and lush greens and unique textures. Designing and planting the sunken gardens flower show takes incredible attention to detail, hard work, and of course, an artistic talent. Ariel Dressler has been an education specialist at the Minnesota Landscape Arboretum and a gardener at the U.S. Botanical Garden in Washington. And she has been creating show-stopping flower shows since her arrival to Como in 2018. She is going to share with us her expertise and educate us in the ins and outs of how she creates what I think is Minnesota's most beautiful room.
Hello and welcome to the Sunken Garden. I'm so glad you're joining me in the middle of our beautiful winter flower show, one of 5 flower shows that we put on every year at Como Park Zoo and Conservatory.
This is probably my favorite part of working at Como, is designing these flower shows. I am passionate about plants. I get a lot of inspiration from visiting other public gardens. During the winter when it's cold outside, you'll find me poring over catalogs and trade magazines looking for the newest varieties, improvements, new colors, and dreaming about fantastic combinations that we can do in our flower shows. So today I wanted to talk a little bit about that process, how it all comes together. And it really starts with coming up with that color scheme. Once that's decided, we order our seeds. For example, this is a foxglove that we started from seed this fall. Or we plant our bulbs. We've got quite a few bulbs in this flower show. These are amaryllis. And we grow it all right here on site in our greenhouses. After we get the crops grown, we take an inventory, keeping track of what we've got available for our flower shows. And I'm not bragging or anything, but in this room right now with me, there are over 1,000 blooming plants. It smells heavenly. Part of that fragrance comes from our oriental lilies. This is Lily Paradero. And the lilies are one of those challenges that people don't think about with this flower show, because our goal is to have this room looking its best every time you come for a visit. And these lilies don't last for 2 months. That means that the horticulturalists here at Como are doing a tricky job of timing the blooms. So when you come, we're hoping that these are full of color. They'll bloom for about 2 weeks, but waiting in the wings in the back of the greenhouse, we always have that next group of lilies coming on. So these are buds, the next group to go in once these other ones wrap up their flowering. I'd like to walk you around the room now and just show you a few more of the stars of our winter flower show. So come along with me, let's take a look. All right, here we are in the presence of probably my favorite plant in this entire show. It's a little understated, but bear with me. This is a South African bulb, and I had never seen it before coming to work at Como. It's not something you just find in your local garden center. It's a deciduous bulb. It's blooming now, but believe it or not, by summer, all of those leaves would have withered and dried up, and it's stored in our garage for the entire summer, just dry as a bone. But here it is coming into bloom. Really lovely bell-shaped flowers. It's got the nickname of forest lily because it grows in a forested part of South Africa. And I think it's really lovely. Even when it's not in bloom, it's got an attractive little ruffle on the leaves. I think it pairs really well with the bromeliads that are around it. Really sweet plant. All right, now you've seen a little bit of the winter flower show. I want to give you a first sneak peek at what's coming next. Our spring flower show is probably the most anticipated show because obviously we're all getting a lot tired of this winter. So here is a peek at what's coming next. These lovely green shoots are the beginnings of calla lilies. This is a beautiful black variety called Odessa. You can see the bud just starting to form there. And in our coolers, we have pot after pot of tulips, daffodils, and hyacinths. So this room once again will be filled with fragrance. This year we even have some Easter lilies. Now the color palette for this year's spring flower show is a little unusual. It's going to be a lot of beautiful yellow tulips paired with cheerful daffodils, and we'll have both small varieties and large, along with white and dark purple black color. So kind of a bumblebee pollinator themed spring flower show. Look forward to that. Opens March 20th. The sunken garden is a highlight, but there's so much more to see in the Marjorie McNeely Conservatory. Take a look.
Hi, I'm zookeeper Liz Cuthbert here at Como Zoo with Chloe, our Hoffman's two-toed sloth. Chloe never misses a bouquets, whether she's in the arms of a zookeeper or high up in her tree in tropical encounters. Tonight she's experiencing the North Garden here in the Marjorie McNeely Conservatory, and I am wearing my face mask as there is some scientific thought thinking that sloths could potentially be susceptible to the coronavirus. There are some animals at the zoo we don't worry about, but our large cats have been found, not ours, but different zoos have found lions and tigers with the COVID virus, as well as gorillas out in California. So the zookeepers are very careful when we're working around those animals, and so I always have my mask on when I'm working with Chloe. Now, Chloe turned 16 in 2020. We did not get to have a big birthday party for her, but hopefully in 2021 or possibly 2022, you can all come celebrate Chloe's birthday with us. Now, in the wild, sloths mainly eat leaves, and here at Como, Chloe does get a big garden salad every night that's mainly made out of different types of greens. We always give her romaine and kale and dandelion greens, and occasionally, I'm out of it. We had some endive tonight that she munched down and really enjoyed, but we give her a variety of greens, and on top of those greens, we give her a few fruits and vegetables, trying to mimic things that she might find in the wild as much as possible. Now, thanks to Como Friends, in 2018, I received a Conservation Champion grant and got to go to Costa Rica, where I worked for 2 weeks at Alturas Wildlife Sanctuary, where they had, at the time, a baby sloth and 2 sloths that were on exhibit that were spending their full lives there. And the staff at the sanctuary didn't have much time to work with those 2 sloths. So my main project while I was in Costa Rica was working with those sloths on a daily basis, trying to get them manageable, handleable. So that was a super rewarding experience. I wish that y'all were here with us so you could ask me more questions about Chloe. She has been at Como since she was about a year old. She came to us from the Jacksonville Zoo in Florida. Sloths, baby sloths, do spend about a year with their mom, hanging on their mom's belly. And in the wild, sloths are solitary, except during the breeding season and that approximate year when a baby's hanging out with its mom, really hanging out with its mom. Typical position for a sloth in the wild would either be tucked up in a tree, similar to this, or hanging upside down from a branch, like this. Thanks for coming tonight, everyone. Chloe and I wish you were here with us, hopefully next year, and we're looking forward to seeing you then. And thank you all for your support. It means the world to Chloe and to me.
Thanks, Liz. Chloe is certainly an amazing creature. No wonder Chloe likes the North Garden. So many aromas of spices and fruit. I am Jen Love, a horticulturist at Como. I spend most of my days in the North Garden, which is considered Como's living grocery store and pharmacy, filled with plants that have a direct influence on our lives each day. From citrus to coffee to cardamom, it is all here. I'm going to highlight a few of my favorites for you, many of which are found in wine and beer. So the first thing I wanted to talk to you about today is one of our spices here in the North Garden, the cinnamon tree. The cinnamon tree here has these beautiful leaves with these 3 beautiful veins on it. It's a really distinct look to it. You're probably familiar with cinnamon sticks and what they look like. So that is actually from the bark of this plant. So the outer bark is removed and the inner bark is then dried. And if you leave it to dry in sheets, it rolls up into those cinnamon sticks. Otherwise, it can also be ground. I'm sure you're familiar with ground cinnamon as a spice too. All right, our next stop here is to take a look at our vanilla vine. Vanilla is a super popular flavor and found in tons of different products, from perfumes to foods. One of the things that I think is most interesting about vanilla is that it's an orchid. So it's actually the only orchid that gives us a food product. It's the only one that really has like a useful purpose for its fruit. What we call a vanilla bean is also what I would call the fruit of the vanilla orchid. So the vanilla vine is growing behind me here, and it grows all the way up the building, and it would keep going all the way up to the palm dome if I didn't kind of work to manage it every day or on an ongoing basis. When you come to the North Garden, you can often look up this wall and see those vanilla beans. So be on the lookout for vanilla beans when you come to visit. So the next thing we're going to talk about is one of my favorite plants in this room. It's one of our citrus. So we do have quite a few different kinds of citrus in here. They grow really well in this room. They flower almost all year round, and they produce fruit without being hand pollinated, so they're a little bit lower maintenance than our vanilla. And this fruit is called the Buddha's hand. If you take a look at it, you can see those finger-like structures on that fruit that give it its name. Though that's not the only reason I love it. I also love it because of the way it smells. But when they do get ripe, they fall off the plant, and that's when I get a chance to take a smell of the fruit up close. And that is what this fruit is grown for, is that essential oil and rind that just smells amazing. So it's very much like a lemon, except for completely sweet smelling. So it's like a really sweet lemon smell, almost like smelling lemonade. Our last stop today is going to be one of my favorite trees in the North Garden, our guava tree. So the thing that I love about this is simply the way it smells. It just makes me feel like I'm taking a tropical vacation. Whenever one of these fruits is ripening, I can smell it when I walk in the room. So that was our last stop for our tour of the North Garden. I want to thank you very much for joining me, and thank you very much for your support of Como.
Good evening. My name is Dave Kennan. I'm the owner of Bright Wines. I'm the wine coordinator for this event, the Bouquets annual wine and food event. And the organizers of tonight's event have actually asked me to do some speaking for you on flavors in wine that might pair up with some of the flavors we find here in the lovely North Garden. So I thought I would break my discussion into bright wines versus red wines. And on the list of interesting flavors and plants that are in the North Garden here, you'll find some tropical fruits, things like lemon and grapefruit. Of course, those of you who are fans of Sauvignon Blanc as a white wine will recognize those flavors. Many of the Sauvignon Blancs that are the most popular have exuberant grapefruit flavors, ruby red sometimes, and that's actually officially on the list here. But those citrus flavors are not actually in the wine. So we're going to talk tonight about where some of those flavors come from. As wine aficionados, you probably know that the flavors in the wines are all part of the wine. They're not added in extra. So those of you who, for example, aren't allowed to have grapefruit because of medications you're taking, you can actually drink a Sauvignon Blanc without fear of those grapefruit flavors. So the citrus flavors are often found in things like the Sauvignon Blanc. Another set of flavors you'll find here in the North Garden are some of the tropical flavors, including things like pineapple and more exotic flavors as well. You'll find those flavors in white wines also. You'll find those perhaps not so much in the Sauvignon Blancs or things like Pinot Grigio or Chardonnays. You might find those in some of the more exotic white wines. Viognier, etc. like that are full of tropical fruit flavors. One interesting flavor that's here, and it's actually a plant I'm standing right in front of, is vanilla. Those of you who are fans of particular styles of California Chardonnays or other Chardonnays might recognize the vanilla tones you get that are in those wines. And again, there's no vanilla being actually added into the wine to give it that flavor. Those vanilla tones are coming from the winemaking process. Many of you probably know that Chardonnay is often barrel aged. And in fact, some of the red wines that are barrel aged would perhaps also give you hints of vanilla. But if you get a white wine, especially a Chardonnay, that has kind of a toasty or creamy or vanilla sort of tone, that's not from the Chardonnay wine, the grapes themselves. That's actually a flavor that's coming from the barrels that wine was matured in, usually for a shorter amount of time for white wines, but that's where those flavors are coming from. Beyond vanilla, here we have represented in the North Garden, we have coffee. We also have cinnamon, other types of flavors like that, and those are other flavors you'll get primarily from the barrels. Then again, there are also those types of flavors that are intermingled with the oak barrels, and you get a combination of cinnamon and vanilla and black pepper, and you might get all those flavors kind of intermingling into once, and that's part of the beauty of the whole winemaking process. Anyway, that's a very quick tour of the North Garden of flavor profiles, but so many of the flavors that are in here are represented in wines as well. In fact, that's one of the fun things about wine, is the ability to smell and taste different flavors in different wines, which is why you all probably have your own personal favorite category. So anyway, once again, I'm Dave Kennan of Bright Wines, and I hope you enjoy your evening.
With all that is different in the world now, one thing is familiar. Como Park Zoo and Conservatory is currently open for visitors to have up-close experience with animals from around the world and to explore beautiful gardens. Even during the months when Como was closed to the public, the essential work of caring for the animals at Como Zoo and cultivating the gardens at the Marjorie McNeely Conservatory continued every day. We also were able to keep moving forward on improvements that we'll be unveiling this year and that all of us will be enjoying for many years to come. We have a lot going on at Como, and I'm excited to share an update with you. Construction on Como Harbor, the new seals and sea lions habitat, is nearly complete, and we are beginning to plan for a grand opening scheduled for late spring. The $20 million seals and sea lions habitat will have a new year-round outside saltwater pool for Sparky the sea lion and all of her seal and sea lion friends. Como Harbor was designed to exceed all regulations and guidance for caring for seals and sea lions to ensure the animals have the best care possible. There will also be amazing upgrades for our visitors, including a new amphitheater with shaded seating, a new restaurant, and the opportunity to watch the seals and sea lions swim underwater. And we have another improvement underway. We're doing a floor-to-ceiling renovation of the aquatic animals building to add new aquatic species, make it more welcoming for visitors, and create interactive elements. Our penguins and puffins will be joined by new species of animals, including a giant Pacific octopus. I hope you'll visit Como this summer to explore these exciting improvements that were designed to inspire people of all ages to connect with the wonders of the natural world. Como Park Zoo and Conservatory is a living classroom and a popular destination for school field trips. Since students can't visit in person, Como has redesigned its second grade field trip program, a partnership with the St. Paul Public Schools, from an in-person experience to a virtual curriculum. Plans are underway to expand the program and offer it statewide. All of the improvements, years of memories, and free access at Como are possible because of the generosity of the community. We know that you hold Como Zoo and the Marjorie McNeely Conservatory near and dear to your heart. Como's rich history is filled with memories of visiting Toby the tortoise and Casey the gorilla, and afternoons spent taking in the beauty of the gardens under the warmth of the conservatory dome. Tonight, I invite each of you to make your own gift in support of Como Park Zoo and Conservatory. You can make a gift on your phone through One Cause by clicking on the donate button, or you can give online at comofriends.org. Gifts will be put right to use, providing zookeepers with the resources and equipment they need to provide Como Zoo's beloved animals the highest quality care, including specialized care provided through our partnership with the University of Minnesota's veterinary program. Through this partnership, specialists have helped treat sea lions for cataracts, polar bears who needed root canals, and treated flamingos with cancer. Gifts also sustain the 100-year-old tradition of rotating flower shows in the Sunken Garden, an award-winning orchid collection, new plants and birds and tropical encounters, and a nationally ranked Japanese garden. Most importantly, your support makes possible free access for every visitor who comes to Como each year. Como's wide open doors welcome visitors from every walk of life, providing an inspiring and equitable experience for all. Thank you for your generous support and for all you do for Como Park Zoo and Conservatory.
Thanks, Jackie. There is so much going on at Como. It's so exciting. If you haven't been to Como, I encourage you to make a reservation and visit soon. If you wait until the spring, you will see some new furried and feathered faces, and of course some new leafy friends too. Here's a sneak peek. The mayor of St. Paul, Melvin Carter, a huge fan and supporter of Como Park Zoo and Conservatory, has a message for all of us this evening.
Hi, I'm St. Paul Mayor Melvin Carter. But before I was the mayor, I was a young person growing up in St. Paul. I was a young person visiting Como Zoo, checking out Sparky, checking out the seals, checking out the plants in the conservatory, and loving that space. It was good then, and it's fantastic now, thanks to all of your support. We couldn't have done it without you. A toast to you, my thanks to you, and I look forward to seeing the Como Park Zoo and Conservatory we'll pass on to our children and their children.
Thank you, Mayor Carter, for that wonderful toast. And thank you all for joining us at Bouquets this evening. I also want to thank all of our restaurant and brewery and silent auction supporters. Their support has been so crucial to this event this year. And I also want to remind you, if you haven't already, make sure that you start bidding on our silent auction. The silent auction ends tonight, February 25th at 9 p.m. So don't miss your chance to bid on some wonderful Only Como items, like a wine tasting in the Sucking Garden, led by Dave of Bright Wines, or an opportunity to meet Sparky and her penguin friends before hours. Also, I would like you to think about making a gift. Gifts of all amounts truly do help Como and have a huge impact. It will help Como thrive for years to come and remain barrier and completely free for all. And once again, thank you for joining us at Bouquets, and have a wonderful evening.